season 5 is going to bring a lot of anxiety, and there's not going to be a solution for that in this season, which is going to be hard. Judas has always been the most exciting, because if they do not get Judas correct, then I think the rest of the show kind of falters.
Brandon Snipe, it's great to have you here on Charisma. And I reached out to you because we were doing this special issue of Charisma magazine for The Chosen. And I was thinking, who do I know whose life has been changed by The Chosen? We've got so many testimonies of people coming to Christ, but your life has changed in so many different ways because of the way that you watch the show. And God's given you a very, I'll just say it, you are a detective. You were like a private investigator into The Chosen, and in fact, your channel is The Chosen Sleuth, and so you're helping uncover some of the mysteries that they're letting out there. So, Brandon, welcome. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, last time we spoke, I was kind of like splitting channels and just had started The Chosen Sleuth. And now it's been so interesting to see the growth of that and to see where we're at now. But season 5 is going to be an interesting one for sure. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, for sure. So you started your channel, actually originally it was the Snipe Life, which you still have, talking about other content there, but you decided to really focus in on a new channel, The Chosen Sleuth, which we'll have on the link in this in the description here, because everybody needs to go and check this channel out, because Brandon has the best insight into what's going to happen based off of little clips, and he breaks it down frame by frame. I love it. I love it. So why did you start watching The Chosen originally, and then why did you decide to dive into the little details that you see that nobody else seems to?
Yeah, I think about this quite often because, it's one of those things where it's like this little innocuous moment in your life that you don't think is going to have any bearing or any weight. And then it just does, it's kind of those little things that God kind of walks you into. And at the time I was a pastor for most of my adult life. That's what I had done as being a worship pastor. And so I had a colleague, another pastor of mine that was, it was during COVID, and we were doing, video church basically. And I remember him coming in, and this is the type of person that never really gives recommendations like this. So it would have to be pretty good if he was going to say something about it. And so he mentions about The Chosen, he talks a little bit about it and gives a little bit of background, and I'm totally skeptical. Like, there's no way this is going to be good. Every Christian show we ever watch is just horrible. It's so boring. And so my wife, though, is like a big fan of Christian media, pretty much whatever it is. And so that night she's like, let's watch it. And we get through the first couple episodes. I'm like, oh, maybe there's something here, and we watch the third episode. And by then I was really, really hooked. And so, nothing happened for a while. Within that year, me and my wife decided to start the YouTube channel. And then whenever season 2 came out, thinking as a YouTuber, I'm like, hey, this might be something that could work. It's kind of, relevant right now. And it's really, obviously I love the show and I'd love to talk about it. There's a lot of really cool Easter eggs we could bring out. And so immediately, right at season 2, episode 1, we started talking about, these different things, and just kind of took off from there. So, yeah. Yeah.
So tell me about the first time that a video of yours about The Chosen really took off, and you're like, this is something I really need to do. And this is starting to change the direction of what I thought this channel was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see it. That first video that we ever did on The Chosen, season 2, episode 1, on the thumbnail, it says Big James is dead. And it's our very first video that just took off like crazy. And you can see that transition going from maybe 100 to a couple hundred views to then getting thousands of views right on that video immediately. And then from there on, you can see we never really did other videos again until probably a year or two later. It was all Chosen stuff, focused on The Chosen, because we knew that if we doubled down, this was something that felt really good for us. It was something that we were really passionate about, that we really cared about. And that we found that we were good at, and so God just kind of lined those things up for us. Yeah.
And so this became not just a channel that was seeing success. You actually developed a community around this. You've taken now tours to Israel. Tell me about how the progression of things really grew, because this is your life in a lot of ways. This is a source of income. This is is your ministry focus in a way. And you've been able to go to the set. I saw you in the background of a video that Ruslan put out where you were on set at the same time that he was. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Brandon, like you just started out just talking about The Chosen, and now here you are on the set doing different things, meeting these different people that you've been sleuthing about. So tell me about some of those things that have happened there.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So when God speaks in my life, there's this like thought process that we have of like us being the sheep and Jesus is the shepherd. And when God speaks to me, like there's a specific smell, there's a specific like, sound that I hear of his voice that every time he speaks to me, it's very similar. And what that sounds like to me is like things just line up and it moves very quickly. So if I'm going to transition, normally it's not like a 4-year transition. It'll be like a 2-month transition. And he's like, no, you're moving right now, and so that's kind of what happened with all of this is we started talking about The Chosen. It started doing really, really well. And then immediately Dallas picked up on it and was watching our videos. And so within literally a few months into, not even a few months, a few weeks into season 2 of The Chosen, he hopped on our channel, our live stream. And from then on, we had been in communication with him. And so, we kind of developed a friendship where we would watch an episode of The Chosen and he'd text me. He'd be like, hey, what did you think about this? And I'm like, yeah, it was great, except for this, this, and this. Or like, here's my concerns. Or like, it was really amazing, whatever. And so we've kind of had this relationship from Dallas and then down into The Chosen team for a long, long time. And so it's been amazing to have these opportunities, like you're saying, to go to set or to interview the cast at different events and things like this. And that's been huge for sure. The biggest part for me though, is like, I don't measure success on like how much we're making like this. Yes, this is my job and I need to make money in order to survive. But for me, the measure of success is when I get that one message where it's like, because of your video, I did this, this, and this, and it improved my relationship with God, And luckily we're getting those messages more and more and more.
Amen.
And it's just so cool to see. So that's really my heart in that for sure.
Yeah. So you said Dallas started noticing your videos and then hopped on a live stream. Okay. Tell me about whenever that connection happened, because you had to be a little bit giddy at that point, right?
You can see it live. It happened live on air. And we're doing a live stream for season 2. I think it was episode 5. And so if you know anything about season 2 of The Chosen, this is one of the most controversial episodes because it has Jesus kind of like writing his sermon, so to speak. And so a lot of people were kind of like iffy about that. But Dallas was watching, and he had been watching our videos before then. Dallas is a really interesting person because no matter how big he is, no matter how epic his platform is, like even right now, he's searching for these small little creators that are on YouTube that are talking about The Chosen because he wants to know the general fan sentiment of The Chosen, right? So he was doing the same thing even back then. And back then it was easier because there's only like 2 of us, basically. Now there's some more that are kind of popping up. But he really likes to be in the community in that way. I don't know how he has the time to do it because he'll comment on a video of mine and I'm like, how do you have the time to watch my video and you're doing all these other things, But having that connection is really interesting. So you can watch it live on our channel. Actually, basically what happened is we're doing the live stream and he comments in the chat, and then we end up giving him like our business email so that he can reach out to us because he's like, hey, I want to hop on the live stream. We send him the link, just like we're doing now. And he hopped on the live stream and we just started talking for the next 30 minutes or so. And I just remember that feeling of like, this is probably my, I don't know, like 3rd or 4th live stream ever, and it's like, we have the creator of the show and he hopped on and like, we didn't know what this YouTube thing was going to be, in any sense. And so it just turned into this crazy thing where me and my wife, after we turned off the stream, we're just running around the house. We're like, what just happened?
Oh, that's incredible. And so that's opened up a lot of opportunities for you to continue that communication with Dallas. And, I love that he texts you after an episode comes out and said, what do you think? And that's really cool. That is really cool. So we've got season 5 coming up, and we know that we're talking about the Last Supper, Jesus going into the temple from just the just the clips that we've seen already, overturning the tables, making the whip, all this, this stuff that's going to be happening, leading into the betrayal. Just what are some things that you're excited about seeing in this coming season?
Yeah, Judas has always been the most exciting, right? I think from the very beginning of when we saw him, his character growth is the most exciting in terms of just storytelling in general, because if they do not get Judas correct, then I think the rest of the show kind of falters. And so I think that while they've done a lot of things great, if they don't do this well, if they don't do the betrayal well and how he kind of gets into this and the emotions involved in it, it will suffer for the overall product, I think. So that's a huge one. And then of course, all the stuff that comes along with the Last Supper. There's so many theological hoops they're going to have to jump through to make everybody happy. So it'll be interesting to see how that works there too.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to talk to Jason Sobel about this, Rabbi Jason Sobel, and he actually said that he went to the set and actually had a Seder or a Passover supper with the cast. And I'm like, man, I hope that was recorded somewhere. We can kind of see some of that stuff. But it's so cool that we're taking this ancient tradition in the Jewish culture that the Bible talks about, that the Bible established, and now it's going to be brought onto the big screen or the very small screens as people watch it on their phones even too. But as people are more and more interested in things of the Bible and things about the Chosen, that obviously is about the Bible, you get a chance to not just talk about the show, but about the Bible side of it as well, because that is the source text. Tell me about how your understanding of the Bible has gotten deeper as a result of being involved with the Chosen.
Yeah, I always tell people this. I went to Southeastern University, which there are things I loved about that school and things that I had some issues with for sure. But I graduated from that school and I have a biblical degree, but I've probably learned more because the Chosen kind of forces me to study than I ever did in school. And some of that is probably me being a bad student. Some of that is probably, just how I like to learn. But through the Chosen, I've learned probably 10 times more than in my biblical degree, because it forces me to go to the scriptures and be like, okay, what is true from this? Or what is how did this actually happen in scripture? And how did they interpret that into the show here? What is the Sanhedrin and how do the high priest networks work? And what's happening here? Who is Caiaphas and how did he get to where he is? And is he truly a priest? And there's so many questions that I have from the years of watching the show that it just made me dig in and really study not only scripture, but also the culture and history and things that you don't really get a lot of context for within scripture that help you to understand scripture better, if that makes sense. I think that's been the biggest thing for me overall. And of course that connects to my love of Israel and everything there as well, for sure.
Yeah. So as we're going into season 5, people are going to be looking for the things that we've just were talking about. But you specifically, what is your hope for not just the message of the Chosen or what's going to be on the screen, but how do you want other people's lives to be changed? I know it's kind of a broad question, but this is what you do.
Yeah. I think there's only one real answer to that, right? My hope is that people would seek the truth, right? I believe that Jesus Christ came to this earth, died on a cross, and saved us from our sin and chaos that this world is made of, right? And that we're made of. And so because of that, I'm able to sit here and to talk about that freedom. I'm able to sit here and talk about that goodness that he's done, but that comes through this hardship. I think season 5 is going to bring a lot of anxiety, and there's not going to be a solution for that in this season, which is going to be hard. Season 6, I think, is going to be even harder. And so because of that, I really hope that this brings people to a place where they can dive deep into what God has for them in their lives, and that they can learn to trust him and learn to seek out truth in that. That's what I really hope, for sure.